Aliens are watching us, and while nobody is saying be on your best behavior, one has to think why and what are they learning. Today we're going to go in depth and talk about the zoo theory, discuss what you can find in landmarks, ponder the beginning of the world, and more. Let's blow some minds. I suppose one should start with the very beginning of everything, since humans don't know how we came to be. There's thousands of theories, but can any sciencey person say without a doubt how humans and the earth were formed? Don't think so. So let's compare that to little animals at an animal zoo owned by humans. So these little animals are abducted from their natural habitat or otherwise displaced into their new one, and they get to a point where that's all they ever know. Sometimes you get major families in zoos, and their descendants will never know what life is like outside of that realm. Humans have forgotten where we come from, assuming it's somewhere out in the universe, which is why we keep investigating the unknown, looking for our origins outside of our habitat right here on Earth. Okay, let's break down the theories of creation. If you believe otherwise, well, let's look at all the theories here. For starters, is the Adam and Eve Bible story, and elements of it actually make sense within the alien zoo theory, everything being descended from two people, the original beings that were brought to Earth to procreate and start the human race. They were banished from their first habitat and instead brought to this zoo. Okay, another theory, the Big Bang, where the universe as we know it started with an infinitely hot and dense single point that inflated and stretched, first at unimaginable speeds, then at a more measurable rate, over the next 13.7 billion years to the still expanding cosmos that we know today. But existing technology doesn't yet allow astronomers to literally peer back at the universe's birth, meaning much of what folks understand about the Big Bang comes from mathematical formulas and models. But after all that, it's all still a theory. To find out the cause of the Big Bang, you assume a prior event that happened had a universe-spawning effect. Perhaps the Big Bang not only amounted to the creation of matter and energy, but also the origin of space and time itself. Well, in that case, it's difficult to talk about a logical cause. Until recently, some scientists held the view that the universe would someday recollapse, eventually leading to another bang. But then they learned that the current expansion of the universe is never going to stop. So that kind of went. Instead, we've got scientists that suggest that the Big Bang was caused by our empty four-dimensional spacetime colliding with another universe that floats next to ours in a higher dimensional bulk space, but that's still only a suggestion. At the end of the day, we don't know how we came to be, so aliens transporting us here like zoo creatures makes a lot more sense in that context. Doesn't it? Avi Loeb is no stranger to controversy. The prolific Harvard University astrophysicist has produced pioneering and provocative research on black holes, gamma ray bursts, the early universe, and other standard topics of his field. But for more than a decade, he has also courted a more contentious subject, namely aliens, and how to find them. Until relatively recently, his most high-profile work in that regard was his involvement with Breakthrough Starshot, a project funded by Silicon Valley billionaire Yuri Milner to send laser-boosted, gossamer-thin, mirror-like spacecraft called light sails on high-speed voyages to nearby stars. All that began to change in late 2017, however, when astronomers around the world scrambled to study an interstellar visitor, the first ever seen that briefly came within range of their telescopes. The object's discoverers dubbed it Oumuamua, a Hawaiian term that roughly translates to scout. The unavoidable cursory examinations of the celestial passerby showed it had several properties that defied easy natural explanation. Its apparent shape, which was like a 100-meter long cigar or pancake, did not closely resemble any known asteroid or comet, nor did its brightness, which revealed that this was at least 10 times more reflective than one of our solar system's typical space rocks, shiny enough to suggest the gleam of burnished metal. And most strangely, as it zoomed off after swooping by the sun, the object sped up faster than can be explained by our star's waning gravitational grip alone. Run-of-the-mill comets can exhibit similar accelerations because of their rocket-like effect of evaporating gases jetting from their sunlight-warmed icy surfaces, but no signs of such jets were seen around this. So to experts, the most plausible explanation was as obvious as it was sensational. Taken together with its possible pancake-like shape and high reflectivity, this anonymous acceleration made perfect sense if the object was in fact a light sail, perhaps a piece from some long-expired galactic culture. Primed by years spent pondering how we might someday find evidence of cosmic civilizations in the sky's depths, our professor became increasingly convinced that with this, the evidence had instead found us. On June 25th of 2021, the Pentagon and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released their much-hyped report on unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, another way of saying UFO. The star map revealed that more than 2,000 stars, some with their own planets, actually have a direct view of our planetary presence. A paper published on June 23rd of the same year, so a couple days before, showed that in the past 5,000 years, more than 1,700 stars have been in the right celestial position to view a populated Earth transiting the Sun, with 319 more entering the sweet spot in the next 5,000 years. And 7 of those far-off stars are known to have their own orbiting exoplanets that might support life. So instead of constantly saying, what can we detect from other worlds, and where are the other worlds that we can detect, think about it in other ways. This was a quote from an astronomer at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, and a co-author of the study. Like, what worlds can find us? How many of them and for how long? 7 of the stars mapped out are known to host possibly rocky exoplanets, thought to be passable candidates for harboring liquid water, and thus life as we know it on their surface. One of these, the world called Ross 128b, was in Earth's transit zone for about 2,000 years. It saw our planet between the 10th century BC and the 10th century AD, a time period that comprised the reign of Alexander the Great, the fall of Rome, and the whole Mayan civilization. Think of living in a room, and all the windows are open, you're doing all your business, and you don't know that the windows are open. Would you behave differently if you knew that you were being seen all your life? I think so. The essential idea of the zoo theory has been the subject of scientific and science fictional cosmology for decades, but MIT radio astronomer John Ball is often credited with laying out the hypothesis in 1973. In essence, the zoo hypothesis serves as a possible solution to the Fermi paradox. Named for physicist Enrico Fermi, this paradox refers to the contradiction between the high likelihood of systems spanning intelligent life, according to some interpretations of the Drake equation, which is used to estimate the number of communicating civilizations in our galaxy, and also the lack of evidence for such intelligent life. The aliens might be there. This is according to astrophysicists William I. Newman and Carl Sagan, and they explain this in their 1978 paper Galactic Civilizations, Popular Dynamics and Interstellar Diffusion, saying it's ultimately impossible to predict aims and beliefs of a hypothetical advanced civilization. However, they stress that such ideas are worthwhile and that they help us imagine less apparent social impediments to extensive interstellar colonization. In other words, if we're putting all ideas on the table concerning the possibility of advanced alien life, then the zoo hypothesis has a place in the cosmological lazy Susan. And finally, this brings me to the ancient alien theory, or ancient astronauts, which refers to a specific set of beliefs that intelligent extraterrestrial beings visited Earth and made contact with humans in antiquity and prehistoric times. Proponents suggest that this contact influenced the development of modern cultures, technologies, religions, and human biology. A common position is that deities from most, if not all, religions are extraterrestrial in origin, and that advanced technologies brought to Earth by ancient astronauts were interpreted as evidence of divine status by early humans. For example, the origins and composition of the Great Pyramid, our oldest wonder of the world and its slightly less famous kin, have long confounded scholars. While some believe that construction workers may have used large ramps to transport the stones, this theory has been largely disproven, as there is little archaeological evidence to support the claim. So naturally, theories arguing that aliens must have constructed the pyramid have come into play. It's true, it would have been difficult for humans to build the pyramids, and there's not a lot of historical evidence of how they were built. So if we're citing this, as well as the architectural and scientific questions that surround the pyramids, a lot of folks believe that aliens came to Earth in ancient times and helped kickstart civilizations. According to those theories, the aliens were instrumental in helping ancient Egyptians build their masterpieces. Folks who believe this theory, such as ourselves, argue that in order to design the pyramids as they are, somebody would need a bird's eye view, the kind you could get from something flying in the sky, and that wasn't invented yet. Also, in order to create an object that obeys the golden ratio, which is a mathematical relationship based on the special number 5, the Egyptians would have needed help from somebody else. And also, you can't talk about pyramids without talking about helicopter hieroglyphs. You see these all over the pyramids, all over ancient Egypt, and they've got stuff on it that didn't exist back then. So if folks needed to create that, they would have had to see it. And that's it for me once again, folks. I've been Alexa, your resident ookie spooky girly. See y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.